I had been working at that company for almost 6 years when the promotion finally became available. For most people in the office, it was just another management position opening up. But for me, it was the opportunity I had been waiting for since the day I started. Senior operations manager. Better salary, more responsibility, and finally the recognition that all those long nights and weekends had meant something. My supervisor, Mr. Daniels, had hinted for months that I was the strongest candidate. "Keep doing what you're doing, Jason," he told me one evening while we were leaving the office. "You're exactly the kind of leader we need here." Hearing that made every late night feel worth it. But there was one other person in the office who was also interested in that position. Ethan. Ethan and I had started working at the company almost at the same time. Over the years, we had become close friends. We ate lunch together almost every day, helped each other with projects, and even watched football games together on weekends. When the promotion was announced, Ethan slapped me on the back and laughed. "Well," he said, "looks like we're competitors now." I laughed too. May the best man win. But deep down, I didn't really see him as competition. Ethan was good at his job, but he often missed deadlines and relied on others to fix problems. If the decision was based on performance, I felt confident. 2 weeks later, the company announced that candidates would need to submit a major project proposal. Whoever presented the best plan for improving company operations would likely get the position. I spent days working on mine. I stayed late at the office every night that week. Sometimes I didn't leave until midnight. My proposal was detailed, realistic, and backed by data I had collected over the past year. One evening, while I was reviewing my presentation slides, Ethan walked into my office. "Man, you're still here?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, "trying to finish this proposal." He leaned against the doorframe. "Same here," he said. "I feel like this thing is going to decide everything." I nodded. "Well, good luck." Ethan smiled. "You too, Jason." The night before the presentations, I finally finished my proposal. I saved the file on my office computer and also uploaded it to my company account. For the first time in days, I went home early and actually slept. The next morning, I arrived at the office feeling confident. But the moment I sat down at my desk, something strange happened. My computer screen was already on. I frowned. I clearly remembered shutting it down the night before. Maybe the cleaning staff had turned it on accidentally, I thought. Still, something about it made me uneasy. I opened my proposal file to review it one last time before the presentation. That's when my stomach dropped. Half of the data charts were missing. Entire sections of my analysis had been deleted. "What?" I muttered. I quickly searched through the file history, but the most recent version had been modified late the previous night, hours after I had left the office. Someone had accessed my computer, and they had changed my proposal. Panic started rising in my chest. My presentation was in less than an hour. I tried fixing the missing sections as quickly as I could, but there wasn't enough time to rebuild everything. When the meeting finally started, I knew my proposal wasn't as strong as it had been the night before. I did my best during the presentation, but I could tell the executives weren't as impressed as I had hoped. Then Ethan stood up for his turn. He walked confidently to the front of the room and opened his presentation. And the moment I saw his first slide, my heart stopped. The charts, the strategy, the operational plan. It was my proposal. Not similar, not inspired by it, exactly the same, word for word. I sat frozen in my chair while Ethan confidently explained every detail of the plan I had spent weeks building. And suddenly, a terrible realization hit me. The person who had accessed my computer the night before was sitting right there in front of the room. My best friend.
Like our stories? Subscribe and share to follow for more.
For a moment, I honestly thought I might be imagining things. But as Ethan continued his presentation, every doubt disappeared. The strategy he was explaining, the charts he was showing, even the examples he was giving to the executives were exactly the same ones I had written in my proposal. My proposal. The one that had been mysteriously edited on my computer the night before. I felt my chest tighten as I sat there listening to him confidently explain work that wasn't his. And the worst part? The executives loved it. Mr. Daniels leaned forward in his chair, clearly impressed. "This is an excellent plan, Ethan," he said. very detailed. Ethan smiled modestly. Thank you, sir. I spent a lot of time developing it. Hearing that made my stomach twist. A lot of time developing it. I could barely focus on the rest of the meeting. When it finally ended, the executives thanked both of us and said they would announce their decision by the end of the week. As everyone started leaving the conference room, Ethan walked over to me with the same relaxed smile he always had. Good presentations today, he said. I stared at him. You stole it. His smile froze for a second. What are you talking about? My proposal, I said quietly. You took it. Ethan glanced around the hallway to make sure no one was listening. Then he leaned closer. You can't prove that. The calm way he said it made my blood boil. You accessed my computer last night, I said. He shrugged. Maybe you left your files open somewhere. I clenched my fists. You were supposed to be my friend. Ethan's expression hardened slightly. This is business, Jason. Then he walked away like nothing had happened. For the rest of that day, I could barely concentrate on anything. My mind kept replaying the moment I saw Ethan's presentation on the screen. Part of me wanted to march straight into Mr. Daniels' office and accuse him. But Ethan had been right about one thing. I couldn't prove it. At least, not yet. That evening, after most people had left the office, I sat alone at my desk thinking about what to do. Then I remembered something. The company building had security cameras, including cameras in the hallway outside our offices. My heart started beating faster. If Ethan had entered my office after I left that night, the cameras might have recorded it. The next morning, I went straight to the security office. The guard on duty, Mark, had known me for years. Morning, Jason, he said. Morning, I replied. Hey, can I ask you something? Sure. I think someone may have accessed my office last night after I left. Is there any chance I could see the hallway camera footage? Mark frowned slightly. Why? I just need to check something, I said. After a moment, he nodded. All right, let's take a look. He pulled up the recordings from the previous night. We fast-forwarded through hours of empty hallway footage. Then suddenly, Mark paused the video. There, he said. My stomach dropped. The screen showed someone walking down the hallway toward my office. Even from the camera angle, I recognized him instantly. Ethan. We watched silently as he stopped outside my office door. He looked around carefully. Then he pulled out a key card. A second later, the door opened and he walked inside. Mark looked at me. You know that guy? I nodded slowly. Yeah, I said. That's exactly who I thought it was. At that moment, I realized something. Ethan had been confident because he thought he got away with it. But now, I finally had the proof, and by the end of that week, my best friend was going to learn something the hard way. Consequences. The day the promotion decision was supposed to be announced, I arrived at the office earlier than usual. I barely slept the night before. Not because I was nervous about the promotion anymore, but because I knew the truth was about to come out. Ethan was already there when I walked in. He sat at his desk, casually scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. When he noticed me, he smirked slightly. You look tired, he said. I shrugged. Long night. He leaned back in his chair confidently. Don't worry, he said. No hard feelings about the promotion. You did your best. I looked at him calmly. You really think so? He smiled. I mean, someone has to win. For a moment, I just watched him. It was strange seeing someone who had once been my closest friend act like a complete stranger. Then Mr. Daniels' voice came from down the hallway. Jason, Ethan, can you both come into the conference room? Ethan stood up immediately. Moment of truth, he said with a grin. We walked down the hallway together. Inside the conference room, the executives were already sitting around the table. Mr. Daniels gestured for us to sit. Thank you both for your presentations earlier this week, he began. The leadership team has reviewed both proposals carefully. Ethan sat up straight, clearly confident. Then Mr. Daniels continued. However, before we make the final announcement, something has come to our attention. Ethan's expression changed slightly. What kind of thing? He asked. Mr. Daniels looked toward the door. Security. The door opened and Mark, the building's security officer, stepped inside. Behind him was a monitor displaying a paused video. My heart was beating fast now, but I stayed quiet. Mr. Daniels pressed a button. The video started playing. It showed the office hallway late at night. Then the image everyone in the room saw clearly. Ethan walking toward my office. Ethan's face immediately went pale. "No," he muttered. The video continued. It showed him looking around carefully before using his keycard to enter my office. The room fell completely silent. One of the executives leaned forward. "Ethan," he said slowly, "would you like to explain why you were entering Jason's office after hours the night before the presentations?" Ethan's mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. I was just checking something," he said nervously. "Mr. Daniels folded his arms. Checking something on Jason's computer?" Ethan looked around the room desperately. "It's not what it looks like." But the evidence was already playing on the screen. The video showed him leaving my office nearly 20 minutes later. Mr. Daniels sighed. "Ethan, we trusted you." Ethan's confidence had completely disappeared. He turned toward me suddenly. "You set this up," he said angrily. I shook my head. "No," I replied calmly. "You did." One of the executives spoke firmly. "Stealing a colleague's work is a serious violation of company policy." Another executive added, "especially when it involves manipulating a promotion decision." Ethan's shoulders slowly dropped. The room stayed quiet for several seconds. Then Mr. Daniels spoke. "Ethan, you're terminated effective immediately." Ethan looked like he had been punched in the stomach. "You can't be serious," he said. "I am," Mr. Daniels replied. Security stepped closer. "You'll need to collect your belongings under supervision." Ethan looked around the room one last time, but no one defended him. Finally, his eyes landed on me. For a moment, he looked like he wanted to say something, but he didn't. He simply turned and walked out of the room with security. The door closed behind him. Mr. Daniels looked back at me. "Jason," he said, "we owe you an apology." I shook my head slightly. "I just wanted the truth to come out." He nodded. And it did. Then he smiled slightly. Which brings us back to the original reason for this meeting. The executives looked at each other before one of them spoke. "After reviewing the proposals and your years of performance at this company, we are pleased to offer you the position of Senior Operations Manager." For a moment, I just sat there processing the words. All those years of work, all those late nights, had finally paid off. "Thank you," I said. Mr. Daniels stood up and shook my hand. "You earned it." Later that afternoon, as I stood in my new office looking out at the city skyline, I thought about everything that had happened. The promotion felt good, but losing a friend didn't. Ethan and I had built years of trust, and he destroyed it in one night. Sometimes the biggest betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people you trusted the most. But in the end, the truth always finds a way to come out.
Like our stories? Subscribe and share to follow for more.